3 police officers drove this car. All 3 ended up dead. No survivors, no pattern, and no explanation anyone could agree on. People in Old Orchard Beach still say the same thing today. The Golden Eagle chooses its own victims. This wasn't some forgotten junker rotting behind a shed. It was a gleaming 1964 Dodge 330 fresh paint-high chrome, a police cruiser meant to project authority. Yet from the moment it hit the streets, officers complained about strange noises, doors that refused to stay open, radios that hummed without power. And then the deaths began, violent, sudden, hauntingly disconnected. Except for one detail, every man behind the wheel had driven the same car. But that was only the beginning. When the department quietly sold it off, the Golden Eagle didn't rest. Families who owned it reported headlights flicking on by themselves, garage doors slamming shut, the engine idling at night even when the keys were hanging inside the house. Pets barked and refused to go near it. Neighbors claimed they saw a shadowy figure in the driver's seat long after midnight. And when local teenagers tried vandalizing the car, people started dying again, one hit by a truck, another electrocuted, another crashing on a clear day without a drop of rain on the road. Decades later, when artist Wendy Allen took possession of the car, she insisted on one thing: it's not evil, it's aware. What makes this story even stranger, Stephen King lived just an hour away. And years before Christine rolled across the screen, Maine already had a real-life legend about a car that behaved like a living predator. So today, we're peeling back the metal myths and decades of fear to uncover 20 weird facts about the haunted Dodge 330 that refuses to die and refuses to let go of the people who cross it. Fact 20. The Golden Eagle was never meant to be a legend. Before the deaths, before the whispers, before it became a symbol of fear in coastal Maine, the 1964 Dodge 330, known as the Golden Eagle, was simply a police car. A showpiece even. Fresh metallic gold paint, deep chrome accents, and a clean siren mount. It was meant to make Old Orchard Beach look modern and well-equipped. But officers later said something felt wrong from the first week. The cabin ran cold even in summer. The rearview mirror never seemed to stay in the same position. And radios clicked on with no signal, broadcasting faint static that several described as breathing. None of this made it into official reports. Because who wants to be the officer claiming the car is watching them? Fact 19. Every officer assigned to the car died within 2 years. 3 men, 3 deaths, 3 completely different causes. Officer Raymond Larry, murder-suicide, shockingly out of character. Officer John Reynolds' fatal crash on a dry, perfect road. Officer George Stinson shot in his own home with his service weapon missing. No common location, no shared medical condition, no shared shift pattern. Just one connection: they all spent more time in the Golden Eagle than anyone else. Locals began calling it the cop killer long before the story left town lines. Fact 18. Mechanics saw the first physical impossibilities. Servicing the Golden Eagle became a dreaded task. One mechanic claimed the trunk locked itself while his hands were still inside it. Another said the passenger door slammed with enough force to crack the window, even though no one was near it. Most chilling, one man swore he heard a voice inside the car. Not a whisper, but something that sounded like a low hum forming words he couldn't understand. He quit the garage the same week. Fact 17. The police department tried to quietly get rid of it. No press release, no explanation, no surplus listings. They simply sold it off cheap, a fully functional cruiser, practically new, practically gifted away. The official line rotating inventory. The real reason, whispered among officers: we don't want anyone else driving that thing. Fact 16. The first civilian owners noticed the car breathing. The Allen family bought it for a fraction of its value. A bargain, or a trap. Their dog refused to go near the vehicle from day one. Late at night, the parents reported the engine making a faint rhythmic hum, steady rising and falling, not like metal cooling, but like inhalation. Even stranger, the headlights flickered inside the garage as though responding to movement in the house. Neighbors claimed They saw someone sitting in the driver's seat, a dark figure that turned its head when they walked by. The Allens covered the car with a tarp, but whatever was happening underneath never stopped. Fact 15. The car started itself, without a key in the entire house. One night, Mr. Allen woke up to the faint but unmistakable sound of an idling engine. He thought someone was stealing the car, but when he checked the front door, the keys were hanging exactly where he'd left them. Out in the driveway, the Golden Eagle sat, vibrating headlights, dimmed engine running, not roaring, but purring low like something satisfied. When he approached, the sound abruptly cut off. No smoke, no heat, no ticking metal, just silence. The next morning, he tried to recreate the incident. The car refused to start. Fact 14. Teenagers who mocked the car started dying in accidents. This was the moment the Golden Eagle transformed from urban legend to small-town terror. Local teens, thinking the rumors were a joke, tried to vandalize it, scratching it, throwing rocks, even attempting to steal pieces of chrome trim. What happened next felt like a pattern carved into the town's collective memory. One boy was struck by a truck days later. Another swerved into a telephone pole on a clear summer afternoon. A third was struck by lightning while fishing. Different places, different days. But in Old Orchard Beach, everyone said the same thing. You don't touch that car. Fact 13. The car was parked for years, but it still moved. Even after the Allens stopped driving it, neighbors insisted the Golden Eagle didn't behave like a parked vehicle. Some mornings, the car seemed to shift a few inches forward on the gravel. Other days, the tarp covering it looked pulled tight, as if something underneath had expanded during the night. One neighbor swore he saw exhaust breath rising from it on a winter morning, despite the engine being stone cold. Every claim different, every witness embarrassed to repeat the story. But none of them denied what they saw. Fact 12. Church members tried to exorcise the car. The Golden Eagle wasn't just feared, it became a religious target. In the 2000s, a group of local church members broke onto Wendy Allen's property, claiming the car was Satan's vehicle. They smashed its windows, dumped holy water on its seats, beat the frame with axes. Then, to finish the job, they dragged the crushed remains to a junkyard. They believed they had destroyed the cursed car. But the truth, they didn't even touch the real Golden Eagle. Wendy had quietly removed the original engine and chassis the heart months before. Fact 11. Every attempt to destroy the real car has failed. Over decades, multiple owners and onlookers attempted to dismantle or disable the Golden Eagle. Bolts refused to loosen. Panels that should have fallen apart after years of exposure remained intact. And during one dismantling attempt, a jack slipped, killing a man who was working beneath the car. Wendy later said something chilling. People think destroying it makes them safe, but every piece they remove returns to where it belongs. To this day, no one has ever successfully eliminated the core components of the original Dodge 330. Because according to Wendy, you can't kill it. Fact 10. The car chose when it wanted to start. When Wendy Allen became the new owner, she noticed something unsettling. The Golden Eagle never obeyed normal mechanical rules. Friends who tried to start it, nothing. Mechanics who attempted to diagnose it, dead silence. But the moment Wendy touched the ignition, the engine always turned over on the first try. Not once, not twice, every single time. She called it temperamental. Locals called it obedient, but only to her. Fact 9. People who mocked the car online reported sudden injury. Once the internet discovered Wendy's posts about the Golden Eagle, trolls poured in, dozens of people mocking her, the story, or the car. Wendy claimed that within weeks, several of those same commenters reached out privately. One slipped down a flight of stairs. One fractured his arm in a car accident. Another ended up hospitalized after a freak fall at work. Coincidence? Of course, skeptics say yes, but in a town already defined by patterns of bad luck surrounding one vehicle, the timing felt familiar. Fact 8. The Golden Eagle somehow tracked its previous owners. Even after being sold or moved, strange things kept happening to people who had once owned it. Mr. Allen experienced weeks of sleep paralysis. His wife reported waking up to the sound of metal tapping against their bedroom window, despite the car being miles away by then. One former owner claimed he saw the car parked across from his work. Same gold paint, same chrome trim. But when he walked outside, it had vanished. Was it another car? A hallucination, or something else entirely? Fact 7. The car's original parts keep reappearing. This is one of the weirdest details in the entire legend. Wendy claims she would remove components, mirrors, trim pieces, bolts to catalog them, only to find them back on the car days later. Locked garage, no visitors, no signs of tampering, just pieces returning to their place. She began storing parts off property, and still some reappeared. This is the fact that made mechanics in the area refused to go near the Golden Eagle again. Fact 6. The car survived vandalism that should have destroyed it. When the group of church members smashed what they thought was the Golden Eagle, they hit the wrong car. But even the actual Dodge 330 had endured attacks before spray paint wiped clean. Dents disappeared in days. Windows cracked, but never fully shattered. One vandal sprayed the word devil across the door, only for the entire panel to mysteriously lose all paint, overnight returning to bare metal. No rust, no residue, no chemical explanation. Wendy simply said, "It heals the parts it wants to keep." Fact 5. The town treated the car like a living threat. By the late 1970s, the Golden Eagle wasn't just a rumor, it was a presence. Parents warned children not to walk past the Allen driveway. Dog walkers crossed the street. Some residents refused to drive on that block altogether, especially at night. The car sat motionless under a tarp, but neighbors swore they could feel something watching them when they passed. One elderly resident said, "It's like a wild animal. It doesn't move, but you know it could." Fear became part of the town's ecology, not an idea, not a story, a presence, a fact 4. The car is linked to over a dozen accidents, none officially connected. There is no tidy spreadsheet, no formal police summary. But Old Orchard Beach locals kept their own tally. A teen fell from a balcony days after scratching the car. A fisherman struck by lightning after mocking the legend. 2 separate vehicle crashes involving residents who had once tried to tow or move it. Every case on its own is explainable. Together it forms a shadow trail that spreads across decades, unofficial, unconfirmed, but unforgettable. Like fingerprints smudged across a timeline. Fact 3. Every attempt to document the car's activity failed in strange ways. When paranormal groups tried filming, the Golden Eagle cameras shut off. Batteries drained instantly. One team claimed their microphones captured only a low mechanical hum, even while unplugged. Another group returned to their vehicle to find every watch and phone set to 3:03 a.m. The same time, Wendy said the engine sometimes rumbled on its own. To this day, not a single paranormal investigation has produced stable, reliable footage. Technology simply refuses to stay alive around the car. Fact 2. The car rebuilt itself. After the 2010 attack, when the church group destroyed the wrong Dodge, Wendy revealed a horrifying detail. The real Golden Eagle had been disassembled, hidden, and stored in scattered locations. Chassis in one place, engine in another, trim wrapped in blankets across her property. But people close to her say the car didn't stay scattered. Pieces began reappearing together. Bolts lying near the chassis chrome trim, found leaning against the engine block doors, positioned as if waiting to be reattached. Wendy rebuilt the car only after she noticed the parts arranging themselves in familiar patterns. Or as she phrased it, it wanted to be whole again. Fact 1. The Golden Eagle is still out there, and it still starts itself at 3:03 a.m. For decades, people believed legends faded, stories dissolve, mysteries die with the generation that carried them. But the Golden Eagle never followed that rule, because according to the last confirmed owner, the car still sits quietly on the property, hidden intact and disturbingly functional. Wendy Allen said she stopped trying to prove anything to skeptics long ago, not because the legend scared her, but because she claimed the car didn't want public attention anymore. Yet the strangest detail, the one no one could explain, not mechanics, not paranormal investigators, not anyone who touched the legend, was this. At exactly 3:03 a.m., the Golden Eagle's alarm or engine would activate, even when it wasn't wired to an alarm system, even when the battery was removed, even when the ignition was disconnected. Sometimes the headlights pulsed like a heartbeat. Sometimes the cabin glowed faintly, barely enough to notice unless you were staring. Sometimes the steel frame vibrated low and steady, like a creature taking long, deliberate breaths. Neighbors who lived nearby described waking up abruptly around that time, sensing movement outside, but never hearing footsteps. A few swore they heard gravel shift, as if something heavy had rolled forward an inch and settled again. Wendy gave the same answer every time someone asked her why it behaved this way. It's checking that it's still alive. But the part that unsettled even her, when she moved houses years later, the activity followed. 3:03 a.m. every night, a mechanical pulse in the dark even before the car itself was transported. Like the legend wasn't bound to metal and bolts, but something older, something that recognized whoever touched it, owned it, or even mocked it. And the final whisper that people in Old Orchard Beach still repeat: you don't find the Golden Eagle, it finds you. The Golden Eagle isn't the kind of story that ends with answers. It ends with echoes, mechanical, persistent, unsettling. A 1964 Dodge 330 that began its life as nothing more than a police cruiser somehow drifted into one of the strangest, most enduring legends in American automotive history. 3 officers dead, a family terrified, teenagers injured in freak accidents, a town divided between fear denial and superstition, and a final owner who believed the car wasn't malicious, wasn't demonic, just awake. What makes the Golden Eagle so different from every other cursed car myth is how long the pattern lasts and how specific it is. It doesn't choose randomly. It doesn't lash out wildly. It reacts to disrespect, to intrusion, to familiarity. That's why people in Old Orchard Beach still hesitate when they hear the name even after all these decades. Not because they think the car is evil, but because they can't shake the feeling that it is still paying attention. And maybe that's the part Stephen King understood better than anyone. In Maine, machines don't just break down. Sometimes they remember. If you've made it this far, you're not just here for spooky stories. You're the kind of person who chases the truth behind the legend, the kind who wants to know what's hiding underneath the rust, the chrome, the decades of rumors. And trust me, this is only the beginning. Because the Golden Eagle might be the most famous haunted car in Maine, but it's not the only one in America, with a trail of bodies, broken owners, and mechanical mysteries that refuse to die. So stay tuned, because the next case we uncover, it might make the Golden Eagle look tame.